Aloha! My name is Jason Schwartz. I'm your host here at the Neutral Zone, MauiNeutralZone.com. You can find us up on the web at MauiNeutralZone.com. You can also find us on KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui, and AKU, Akaku Maui Community Media, and up on YouTube where everything lives most for everybody anyway. I have a great guest today. To my left on screen is a man that has been elusive. He was introduced to me by a friend and said, "You have to call Brad Starks." That's Brad Starks. Brad, I thought, who is this guy? He's been recommended by Robert Angelo, a really nice guy and an actor, and maybe he's a producer, or maybe he's an agent, or maybe he's a photographer. And then I come to discover, Brad Starks, you're all of those things and more. Welcome to our show.
Aloha, Jason. Thanks for having me here. Very excited about this. And yeah, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Well, you know, when I first spoke to you, there was this guy that I thought of, maybe I'd get on someday, named Branscombe. And then I got Branscombe Richmond, who's a friend of yours and involved here as an actor, producer, all kinds of stuff. And he said, I know who should be on your show. And he picked out Aloha Surf Hotel producer artist Stefan Schaefer, and Brad Starks. I said, that's two great references for this guy. He must walk on water. And I found out you do walk on water. You are on all these islands, and you're like, I thought you'd think of you as like, maybe you can explain it. When I looked at your resume, a few things jumped out at me. One was, wow, you got a lot of credits for a guy on an island like Maui and in Hawaii. You're doing a lot of different things with a lot of different people. So, wow, he's really connected. He's the guy. And then as I'm watching, you've been a stand-up comedian and been an opener for Augie T. Everyone loves Augie.
Yeah.
And so you're a comedian, but I also know you've been an associate producer. You're a photographer.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me you're probably all kinds of stuff. Tell us, well, how do you highlight you? If I was going to introduce you, how would you?
Well, I've been very fortunate. And again, thanks for having me on the show, Jason. We've been trying to put this together for almost like about a year. But I have been very fortunate to be a freelancer my entire life. And my interests are many, but it all began mostly with photography. I'm originally from Illinois. My parents both are also sort of like creatives in their own mind. My mom was, used to play the piano, sang. She's got a great singing voice. My father was a professional athlete. He used to play for the Jets. I remember sort of like, running around, oh, you're Marshall Stark's son. Your dad was like one of the best football players I'd ever seen. And I was kind of like, whatever. But they always instilled me and always pushed me to be creative and to pursue any kind of like creative urge that I had. Luckily for me, I really latched into photography very early. Like a lot of beginning photographers, you start taking pictures of your friends. You have kind of like a love for that. You're taking your camera kind of like everywhere. And I remember taking all of my mom's fashion magazines. My mom is a huge fashion nut, and I would beg her to buy me like W Magazine, Interview Magazine, which are these very large format, magazines that are out there. And I had these pictures plastered all over my wall. I knew the names of fashion photographers and hair and makeup artists, like other kids sort of like, have like baseball stars and whatnot. So it's just it was just a love for it that I had as a kid, really, really early on. And my parents recognized it and fostered it in me. So I ended up building a portfolio in Chicago. I did that for a couple of years. And then once I got really comfortable in Chicago, I ended up relocating and moving to Europe.
Are you in the middle of a hurricane?
Yeah, I mean, say again?
Are you in the middle of a hurricane, or is that like
yeah, can you hear that? Give me 1 second. We may have to pause this because like this really fancy sort of diffusion thing I made completely came down. I thought it was gonna come down on me. 1 second, sir. Technical difficulties. Wait a minute. Good Lord.
This is an example of a technical thing that happens on the air. We're perfect. Now, I've watched some things that Brad sent me his resume, and in his resume, I saw a friend of mine, Rod Gemberling, who was in an acting role, and I saw Robert Angelo. So you've done promoting. You've calmed the storm a little bit.
Yes. It only took a second, but I just sort of get back to what I was saying. I mean, my father really wanted me to play football, and I thought I was decent at it, but there was one game in particular that happened when I was a freshman, and I'll give you a little sort of background in that. Growing up like in Rockford, Illinois, the school district that was close to me where I lived, we didn't have sort of like Pop Warner kind of, we didn't have any program like that. There were community centers that were in Rockford, and if you wanted to play football, well, you put a little sort of like hodgepodge team there together. They had equipment for kids, and then you would just go out and play. So my father was the coach. So different from Pop Warner, there's sort of like a playbook and there's a system to that, to kind of like that whole organization. Well, I didn't have that. So when I got into high school and I went out to play football, I was unfamiliar with any of those sort of like standardized plays that all these other kids sort of like grew up with. And we relocated to just a great suburb called Hoffman Estates. Now, listen to that name and just sort of like think of, sort of like, like what that sort of brings to mind. But I remember that week trying out for freshman football. That was a hell week. And, this was like in the summer, like when we used to do, double sessions, and, you're in 100-degree heat, and, they just give you like, one thing of water and like salt tablets, you'll be fine. It's just craziness. But anyway, I ended up on the B team. Once I got on the B team and I tried out for quarterback, the coaches were just like, well, Starks, what's the problem? I mean, you've got all this natural ability, but what, where did you play before this? And when I explained the whole story to them, they were just like, well, no wonder you're lost. Okay. So they started with me from scratch. And I think maybe the third or the fourth B football game that we had, a set of circumstances sort of came up where I called a rollout pass. The receiver fell down, and I just tucked the ball and I ran. Now I ran it for like a 65-yard touchdown, but it got called back for clipping or something like that. Okay, so we take the penalty, we come back. I run the same play the opposite way. I was just like, hey, you know what? That was actually kind of fun what I did. Let me just tuck the ball and see how far I get. Another touchdown, but it gets called back for another penalty. I did that another three times. And then, the half came, and then, but I remember looking over to the sidelines, and I didn't see my father, who was always standing there. And I was like, wow, that's weird. So anyway, on the bus ride home, the coach was just like, Brad, that was your last day being quarterback. You're going to be a running back. We're gonna get you on board with like a whole new program. Once I got home, my father was waiting for me in my room, which is never a good thing for a kid. And I'm kind of like, hey, Dad, what happened to you? And I just remember my dad sitting me down, and he told me, he was just like, son, he goes, when I was your age, I never could have done that before in my life. He goes, you are so much better than I was. He was just like, son, he goes, I look around your room, I see all of these pictures on the wall. I don't understand any of this stuff. But if this is really something that you want to do, I'm going to try to help you as much as I can. However, all the way up until once you hit your senior year, I am going to lobby really, really hard for you to continue to play football, because I could never do what it was that I saw you do today. So, I was, thinking, and it was just, it's something that you hear, if you've ever been in a situation where you've heard your parents tell you something about how they feel about you that you just never imagined. So it really did hit me quite hard, but I always knew I wanted to get into photography. So that was what I did. I went to school. I went to downtown Chicago, Columbia College. Didn't have the money to go to Brooks in California like I wanted, but I made a lot of great acquaintances while I was in school there. Some of the best mentors I've ever had were from like my Chicago days. Marie Anderson Boyd, who to this day I'm still connected with. We're still really good friends. She was the executive vice president of Elite Modeling Agency, who gave me like my first shot. I remember going in with my book of dry matted black and white pictures of like my friends from high school. And I would really love to ask her, because I've never asked her this before, what did you see? I was shaking in my boots, but I walked out with a stack of model composites like this. And she's just like, you set up a day when you want to shoot these young ladies. I'll schedule to have you, have them show up. You shoot the pictures, and then let's see what you do. So Marie was a great influence. Oh gosh, my old boss, Ron Gordon, huge. This is a guy who was known for landscape and architectural photography. Really well regarded in the fine art world, and just so happens that Ron owned a small studio and a black and white lab literally right down the street from where I was living in college. So I was able to roll out of bed many times about 10 minutes, 15 minutes too late. Thanks, Ron. I used to watch a lot of late night television, so I blame that. But just the education that I got from working at his place, some of the best photographers, not only in the city of Chicago, which is a huge, thriving advertising market, some of the best photographers in the world would send Ron their film, and we would process it and we would print it. And there was just a lot of opportunity, a lot of great artists I got a chance to meet through him. Oh God! And then my mom was lucky enough to have a hairdresser, one of the only sort of black-owned businesses on what's called the Gold Coast in Chicago. I was fortunate enough to become really, really lifelong friends with a guy named Ernest Collins, who was initially a makeup artist, but then became a self-taught photographer. And again, just as luck would have it, the guy lived right down the street, and right around the corner from me. So just great influences, and I can't say enough sort of about like all of the mentors. Bob Thal, another great landscape photographer who who would always make fun of me. I mean, like back in the days, when I was in high school, the whole preppy sort of like trend was was kind of like a thing, and my sister and I were really, really into it. And I just remember him looking dressed up like a wasp, coming dressed, and he was just like, "Do you even know what you're doing? Do you? What is this?" So just a great guy, just a really great guy. And yeah,
You're in cool,
I
aren't you? Aren't you in
built up
cool?
my career in Chicago over the course of, I would say maybe like about 7 or 8 years, I guess. But I ended up moving to Europe and went there for 4 months, and I ended up living there for about 3.5 years, and just living on nothing, hot bowls of steam, all you can eat, meeting and making some really great friends from all over the place. And then I made the move to New York, and God, I was there for over 20 years, 25 years before I moved out here.
How can you do that and only be 30 now?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you're in cool, aren't you? You must be. You have the signal sometimes goes off.
Yes.
So you were in New York for 20 or 30 years?
Oh no,
right?
Not again.
Are you there?
Yeah. About what ended up happening. Yeah. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, you're there.
Hello.
So what ended? I'm here.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So yeah. So okay. So I when the recession happened, I had no idea what it was, but living in Manhattan is very expensive, endeavor. But the rates for photographers started to plummet. Just went down, and it got to the point where it was just untenable and didn't make any sense. So I packed up everything. I drove back to Chicago, where I was able to reconnect with some of my friends there. An opportunity came up to shoot some pictures for a friend of mine out here in Maui. And I came out, and it only took me like 3 or 4 days to sort of like shoot what they needed. But then once I was out here, I started to meet people like Branscombe. I started to meet Sean Spillett and Sky Pierce, two great friends of mine who run Hana Productions. Paul Ehman. I mean, just like Glen Beadles, just all these guys who are here on island who are all doing different commercial productions as they come in, as well as TV and film. So it took a while to sort of get on those radars, and but yeah, I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier.
And you're talking about, for young people, it's the hard work and dedication and all the years of work, and then it's the opportunity to meet the right people in the right time, and you throw up the coin and so let's see how we're doing here. Could have gone either way, but it's gone really, really beautifully for you. That's great. And only because we're here in 2021, we're in the middle of this COVID thing, and we're in the middle of all kinds of legislation about guns and violence and race. I myself haven't really seen much of that in the industry. Maybe you have. I'd be curious to see over time if you've had any kind of feeling about race as it may, because I never think of it at all. I don't even know why I'm bringing it up, except it seems to be, I don't want to leave it out by omission for most people, because you seem to have no problem with any issues like that. The people that you're working for think of you as capable for who and what you are.
Sure. And I think that's kind of the common denominator. It makes me think of that old saying that you hear a lot, like in entertainment, where people say it's all about who you know. Well, I would change that. I would say it's not about who you know. It's who you know that's willing to admit that they know you. And that is a real thing, because if I'm going to recommend you, Jason, to a producer to talk to them about, a new project or something like that, I'm only going to do it if I have a great feeling about you, that I can send you somewhere that you're not only going to represent yourself well, but you're going to represent me well, because no one wants a phone call back. Hey, who was that joker you sent over here? Oh my God. He was completely unprepared. He was 20 minutes, all these kinds of like things. So, and I think too, in the entertainment industry, people don't like to waste their time. People don't like to waste their time outside of the entertainment industry. There are a lot of hurdles that have to be crossed simply just to get projects off the road. And you want to know up front that the people that you're going to be dealing with, whether it's a big or a small project, you want to know that hopefully they know what they're doing, and why are we bringing, them into the fold. So yeah, and I mean, race is, I'm a black man in America. So yeah, I mean, you have to deal with it. I mean, there are not many African-American guys named Bradley. And, you make a phone call, and you set up an
appointment. A guy named Bradley, you know Louisa and her boyfriend, Brad.
Sure. Yeah. We're great friends. Louisa just worked with us on the Hallmark movie. She's fantastic. I actually met her in New York through mutual friends years ago. And when I ran into her again here, I was just like, oh my God. So yeah, it's very, very, very small world.
But that's why I just happened to think
Oh yeah, and he's great. Brad and I worked on. There was a great Oprah Winfrey project that happened just before I started that, and Brad was on that. And just there are so many great people that are here that I just absolutely love and adore. And it's one of those things, I mean, I'll also say this, that I'm fortunate and I'm blessed to actually be learning the TV and film production business here. I've been second assistant director now on 4 projects, and unit production manager on the first sort of indie film that when I say we, myself, Branscombe, and sort of like this small collective of us that we're able to bring here. And quite honestly, I really don't think I would have gotten as far as I've gotten now, simply because, working with all of these guys, Paul and Glenn and Branscombe and Stephen and, Robert, was able to produce a hit one-man play with Robert Angelo. I mean, it's literally like rolling sevens over and over and over again. It's like, like the best year you've ever had, like in Vegas. And it would not happen if those people, number one, weren't fantastic and incredible, human beings to work with, but just, having them sort of take you under their wing and be like, okay, here's how we actually, got to do this. And just, it's like learning the business through your family. That's like the one great thing I love about Maui is a very small market, but at the same time, we're one of the only United States locations that has been working right along through COVID. I can't say enough about the production professionals that live here on island that have been nice enough to give me a shot. I am always flattered and just completely blown away when, you know, they call me back in. But I mean, I'll tell you, you know, for kids and for people who are looking to get into this industry, the one thing I'll say is that we work hard. We work hard on these things. It's not the glitz and the glamour and the this and the that. And I mean, everybody is hands on deck whenever it happens. That's the one thing I love about working with all of like these big names. We're all taking out the garbage. Everybody's sort of like looking around, you know, let's not leave anything here on the beach. You know, let's make sure, you know, we're doing the right thing for the INA. So a 12-hour day, if you've never worked one before under the hot Hawaiian sun, it will knock you down. And believe me, if you got to do 25 days of that, you know, you wake up at 4 o'clock, you know, I live up country, wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be on location somewhere like in McKenna before 6, you know, to start sort of like sussing out the day, you know, that'll get you after about like 2 weeks. It really will. But, you know, it becomes easier when you get there, Paul's going to be there. Oh man, I can't wait to see Nori again. You know, I mean, you know, it's not the work per se, it's the stuff that happens during the job that make you smile and laugh really hard. Because yeah, we're laughing like crazy through all of this hard work. So, you know, I feel really lucky. I feel really lucky.
When, you know, you're talking about the young people trying to do it, you just shared, you've been doing it for 20, 25 years and putting in a lot of hard work. So when someone like Branscombe or Glenn or Paul call on you, they know that you're professional. They know that you know how to hit the mark, make the thing happen. And if you don't know the details, you have a sense of what's going. So I would say, if I was going to be a young person, working hard and keeping at it and not get discouraged. Look how many years you worked at it to be really now coming into your own. I mean, here in Maui, you're like, I think of as a cornerstone guy for young people coming up, you know, to know what it means to do. You have knowledge of the industry, where to go. You know Brian Kohne, you probably do. Brian Kohne did get a job and all those guys. This is a very small island, so I'm just being courteous, sure. Right? But Brian's over at the college bringing up all kinds of people in these courses in learning how to edit, learning how to shoot, how to do this. Then they're going to get into the business side. I hope that you'll get involved there because these young people need mentors. That's the thing that I've been looking for years. There's someone, you know, like they haven't done it. Guy like Shep Gordon say, oh, let me take you under my arm here. Let's do this show. Well, we're going to get to a point where this time these people are going to come because what we have is so perfect and so beautiful. And it isn't just Jason. Jason's got Branscombe. He's got Brad Starks. He's got this team because this thing is about all, you said it, it's about this collective that is rising up. And we have the fabric here. And the young people, how do those young people get involved? Before they get paid, they can create this whole thing right here. And you got guys like Brad.
Well, I agree with you on that. I mean, I was lucky enough. Stacy Woodson reached out to me and Branscombe just before we started this last movie project we wrapped on, and we were asked to be in a panel discussion with two of the other actors that Branscombe was in the Netflix movie Finding Ohana, which was a huge hit. It was a huge hit. So I was lucky enough to be brought into Finding Ohana through the connections that Branscombe had with the director. But we did a Zoom conversation about the film industry and about being here on Maui with all of these students, and it was fantastic. I mean, I loved it, and tried to come as prepared as possible with different answers to questions, or I printed out sort of like a list with a bunch of online links that kids could actually use, that I use in the business, that I think that they would find helpful. So it was just a fantastic discussion. And chatted with with Brian. I mean, I know Brian Kohne very well. He and Eric Gilliam, came up with that a White Hawaiian show that I think is actually getting ready to do another run. If no one's seen that, you got to go see that. I got to play a very small part in that on stage with Eric, which was absolutely fantastic. But I mean, all these creative types that live here bring something special to the mix. And if you have any young viewers that are out there that watch your show, I would tell them, the internet and social media has leveled the playing field when it comes to entertainment and sort of learning. If you have any kind of an interest, search it on YouTube, and there's, at least 6,000 or 7,000 different interviews with your favorite performers, your favorite, directors, producers, singers, right on down the line. You can literally start a podcast with a phone these days. So there are a lot of young kids that are out there who are really good. Really great friend of mine named Austin, who's become a great friend of mine. I was shooting all the behind the scenes social media video and pictures for Relativity Studios like 4 or 5 years ago when they were still around. They had a class here on Maui that they were going to do annually. And there was just this kid who I saw, you could just tell he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was shooting. The first piece that he presented halfway through this program was this really moody black and white, very artistic sort of film. And I just sat there flabbergasted, and I approached him at the end of that school day. And I was like, hey, listen, man, you don't know who I am, but you should be doing this as like once you get out of high school. How old are you? What are you, 7 years old? Yeah. But I was just like, you should be doing this. There are projects that come into Maui every now and again. If they have an internship, or if I can just, if it jives with like your school schedule, or it's like in the summer, I'm getting you a job. So give me all your information. And I don't know when this is going to happen, but I'm going to make this happen. Yeah, sure enough. Yeah. And sure enough, something came along. I submitted his names to the production coordinators. They brought him on. They fell in love with him. I mean, Austin he's a powerhouse now. The other great thing.
He was down at the TV station there at Akaku when I was doing stuff there some years ago. So he's been committed and at this for a good while. That's great to hear that it's still continuing for him. And it's his being on it and his hard work and dedication recognized by someone like Brad Stark. That's a great.
I mean, I was just going to add to that. He definitely does work hard. He's learned a lot of the stuff kind of like on his own. Maui High School has got a great audio visual and sort of filmmaking department. My gosh, Austin and I were asked to come in to tell the story of how we both won this best documentary international contest, which was like our first venture together. So it was just great. It's just great. Really exciting stuff.
I'm sure we can talk for a long time. In fact, you remember when I didn't press the recorder the first time? I'm not sure where we're at again. Someday I'm going to have a team of people, and then will be someone assigned to hit the go button. I mean, it's very funny. I laugh about that, but I'm at an age where I realize that we are the runways for these future planes taking off, all these young kids. that are coming up, the industry that we can see developing here, and the inspiration that someone like you brings to these kids. I'm real glad to hear you're doing those kind of things, and I hope
Yeah,
we
thank
can do more. I've really had a good time talking to you. When you're on, what do you feel like you really want the audience to know?
Oh,
What,
say again. I couldn't hear you. Say again.
I keep talking about this guy, Brad Starks. He's this, he's that. What do you want the audience to know about you? Do you want them to look for an upcoming show you're going to be on, or what do you want them to know, or you'd like to share?
Well, I would I would tell everyone watching, support all the creative people that are here. This is, and I probably don't have to tell your audience this, but Maui is such a magical place, and uh, there are so many creative souls that live here. The Sunday Maui market, though, those food trucks, I mean, the creativity of those people who cook that food is delicious. I mean, two of my personal favorites that I got to single out: Dope Barbecue, fantastic. While I was working on the HBO special, they were nice enough to make time to accommodate over like 100 of us. Um, and also, God, there's another truck that's over there called Two Cheesy Guys. The best grilled cheese sandwiches on planet Earth. I'm still pushing for them to do some kind of a surf and turf one, but oh my God, it's delicious. But let's see. There's a Hallmark movie called Aloha with Love that's going to come out. I believe that'll probably come out maybe like this coming winter. I'm not quite sure, but that's going to make Maui look fantastic.
And I saw, was that the one that Sarah was in? Sarah Rodrigues?
Yes, Sarah Rodrigues. Absolutely one of the biggest underrated talents. I'm sure you probably know her as well from Akaku. It was a pleasure to actually see her just blow everyone, stealing scenes left and right. Fantastic. The director was just like, oh my God, she's a natural. She's just so great. She's also from Chicago. So, I got to pump a fist for her as well. So yeah, Sarah's awesome. Sarah's awesome. Can't say enough good things. But yeah, I mean, there's that movie coming out. Gosh, over on Oahu, there are a lot of new big television shows. NCIS Hawaii is going to get started up. There are 3 other big television program that might kick off over here that I can't really say anything about. I'm talking to some people about, and then there's another 3 projects I'm in the midst of talking with some really good people who, as of yet, not everyone really knows about, and we're working on some incredible projects, plural, starting probably the end of next month and moving forward for at least like the next 2.5, 3 years at least.
Well, we're going to be talking offline, but I don't know how I can think of doing anything on this island without thinking of wanting to include you. And almost like, you're a production coordinator. When I need someone, Brad's got the list. We put this together. I really see us all as the potential. You probably tell me it's happening, of a studio. We just need some money to fund things and create this local market, and the markets will watch what we do through, I'm Maui Arts and Music. So I know I'm looking for the portal online to showcase all this stuff, elevate the Hawaiian culture, bring all this stuff that we do here up into a global visual spot. And it won't happen without people like you, and exactly people like you. Not only are you a wonderful guest, and I think anybody watching has got to say, I like this guy, Brad. What can he do on my project? So if you've got a project out there, we're going to put up places and ways you can contact. And I'm sure. Is there anything otherwise that, I don't want to leave here and as we go, you're going to go, oh, I forgot to tell him about something. Anything else? Do you see yourself more as an actor? You do you want to go this way or that way with your life? Have you given thought to that? Or just
Well, you know, one of the interesting things sort of about the way the industry has changed now is like some of like the top actors have a hand in the projects that they're a part of. Don Cheadle is someone who I never thought I'd get a chance to meet, but I actually got a chance to meet him in person through a buddy of mine. And looking at how actors are also producers and then also contributing in some way or form to the writing really excites me. I think that one of the things about sort of moving here from New York and going from photographer to more sort of, you know, which is kind of like being behind the scenes, but the fashion photography that I was sort of like trying, the level that I was trying to attain, those photographers are also in and of themselves these very prolific personality filled kind of like stars. But when you become a producer like I was with Robert, which was just a great learning experience for us both working together, I literally was able to kind of stand back and see what it was that Robert needed for his performance and for our production to sort of gel and become what it was. And I'll tell you, if we have time to do another show with he and I both, we have got a real story to tell on what it took, because even with papers signed and contracts and all these kinds of like things, once you go out on the road with a play, things do not always go as expected. And when it's, and I want to say it's just the two of us, it was actually the three of us, we had to figure out a way to make it the best show that this playhouse ever had. And we did it. And all of sort of like my social media sort of like superpower is sort of like came to play. And Robert is just so he's an amazing guy, because he knows what it is he needs to excel. And if you can just meet him halfway and allow him to have that, everything else is easy. And we had a lot of challenges. I really grew a lot from that experience. And, we're not done yet. He and I, we're going to rob a couple more banks. You'll see. We've got we've been chatting about a lot of different things. I actually got to go see him today. But just a great guy.
Well, you're a great guy, and I feel like I'm getting an entree into a world of great people. And I hope that we can, if you know anyone you think should be on this show, send them on my way here. And just know that I hope that our audience will get to know more and more about you and get the feeling like we're all working here together. We're going to elevate this whole thing. A rising tide is going to raise all ships, and we're going to get more and more local production and more things that we can show to the world, because we really do. We are just an amazing island of talent on all levels. And how many people here, I had an opportunity to work and to meet Paul Ehman and Glen Beadles, and all years ago, you can see I've been around a few years here, older, but I've watched. There was a guy named Joe Rossi. Did you ever meet Joe Rossi? Maui?
I don't think I ever met you.
What? Never did. Joe Rossi.
No.
Maui Babe Suntan Anyway, maybe that's a good signal for us to kind of wrap it for today, but it's really been a pleasure. Thank you for coming and being here with me. I'd like to say we'll speak soon, but I know you're so busy. I'm just hoping I don't want to get in your way, but I'd love to explore more with you. And what do they say? Take things up a notch, even from where we are now. Thank you for being a terrific.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again for having me. This has been great. Thanks again, Jason.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you all for watching and listening. We will see you again. Aloha.